So we took these 4 tracks around to everyone in sight, every record company in England. At that point, most of them were interested, but weren't prepared to commit themselves that much, obviously, because they want to see what the band's like on stage and everything else.
Brian May is an English musician, singer, songwriter, producer, and astrophysicist. He is the lead guitarist of the rock band Queen. He was appointed a CBE by Queen Elizabeth II in 2005 for services to the music industry and for charity work. In 2005, a Planet Rock poll saw May voted the 7th greatest guitar player of all time. He was ranked at number 26 on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. In 2012, he was ranked the 2nd greatest guitarist in a Guitar World magazine readers poll. In 2001, May was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Queen, and in 2018, the band received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award.
We split up 2 or 3 years later, completely disillusioned, because although we'd had a lot of successful gigs and we played colleges and we played pubs and small clubs up and down the country, we just never got anywhere.
His full name is Dr. Brian Harold May, CBE, but is also known as Bry. He was born on July 19, 1947 in Hampton, London, England, making him 72 years old at the time of this production. He stands at 6 feet 2 or 1.87 meters. Brian May, or Dr. Brian May as he's officially titled, isn't just a rock legend, but also a published astronomer with a keen interest in space. In fact, May's extracurricular hobby stems from before he was ever a musician, having been fascinated by the universe as a result of obsessively watching Patrick Moore's The Sky at Night as a youngster. May was so into his hobby that he ended up studying for a PhD in astronomy at Imperial College London. After completing a graduate degree in physics and mathematics, unfortunately success with some rock band ended up forcing him to drop out of his PhD studies and travel the world instead. But all was not lost. On encouragement from Patrick Moore, later one of his close friends, May returned to Imperial to finish his PhD in 2007, writing a thesis titled A Survey of Radial Velocities in the Zodiacal Dust Cloud. He is a friend of the humble badger. May claims to have always had a passion for animals, but it was astronomy that specifically drove him to animal welfare campaigning. An astronomer only has to look out into the universe to realize we are just a small planet circling a very ordinary star. It wasn't always badgers, however. May's first animal rescue quest involved hedgehogs. Yeah, rock stars shouldn't have anything to say about farming. Well, sorry, it's time to wake up, he said. Farming, like every other industry, including mine, has to be open to change or it dies. And if the price of my glass of milk on the table or my cheese is the death of possibly hundreds of thousands of badgers, I don't want it. I like me milk, I like me cheese, but the day the first shot is fired by the government against the badgers, I will never drink another drop of milk unless I know it came from a humane farm. May has been a vegan since taking part in the 2020 Veganuary Challenge. When he's not talking about badgers or astronomy, May is very likely to be talking about stereographic photography, a medium popular in the Victorian era. By taking 2 pictures of a scene, one with the camera moved slightly to the side, the images take on a 3-dimension effect when glimpsed through a special viewer, similar to the effect produced by one of those cards you used to get for free in boxes of cereal. It was in fact that very breakfast surprise that inspired May's passion for the medium when he was a child. May is a long-term champion of woodland as a haven and a corridor for wildlife in both Surrey, where he has a house, and elsewhere. In 2012, he bought land threatened by a building development at Bear Regis, Dorset, and in 2013, with the enthusiastic support of local villagers, initiated a project to create an area of woodland now called May's Wood, or the Brian May Wood. The wood consists of 157 acres, formerly under the plow, planted by May's team of co-workers with 100,000 trees. May's Wood is said to be flourishing. He has stated in interviews that he suffered from severe depression in the late 1980s and early 1990s to the point of contemplating suicide for reasons having to do with his troubled first marriage, his perceived failure as a husband and a father, his father Harold's death, and Freddie Mercury's illness and death. From 1976 to 1988, May was married to Christine Mullen. They had 3 children: James, born June 15, 1978, Louisa, born May 22, 1981, and Emily Ruth, born February 18, 1987. They separated in 1988. May had met actress Anita Dobson in 1986. She inspired him to write the 1989 hit, I Want It All. They married on November 18, 2000.
And that was really the chastening experience which led to the way we decided to organise Queen. I think that was perhaps the biggest influence of all, the failure of that early venture.
Brian Harold May was born July 19, 1947 in Hampton, Middlesex, the only child of Ruth Irving Fletcher and Harold May, who worked as a draughtsman at the Ministry of Aviation. His mother was Scottish, while his father was English. May attended the local Hampton Grammar School, then a voluntary aided school. During this time, he formed his first band, named 1984 after George Orwell's novel of the same name, with vocalist and bassist Tim Staffel. May formed the band Smile in 1968. The group included Tim Staffel as the lead singer and bassist, and later drummer Roger Taylor, who also went on to play for Queen. The band lasted for only 2 years, from 1968 to 1970, as Staffel departed in 1970. Freddie Mercury was a fan of Smile and encouraged them to experiment with more elaborate stage and recording techniques. He joined in 1970 and suggested the name Queen. Within 5 years of their formation in 1970 and the recruitment of bass player John Deacon completing the lineup, Queen had become one of the biggest rock bands in the world, with the success of the album A Night at the Opera and its single Bohemian Rhapsody. From the mid-1970s until the early 1990s, Queen were an almost constant presence on the UK charts and played some of the biggest venues in the world, including giving an acclaimed performance at Live Aid in 1985. As a member of Queen, May became regarded as a virtuoso musician and was identified with a distinctive sound created through his layered guitar work, often using a home-built electric guitar called the Red Special. Just like other band members, May's fortune has constantly swelled even after the death of lead singer Freddie Mercury in 1991. Thanks to his contributions to the music industry and charity work, he was appointed a Commander of the Most Excellent Order by the British Empire, CBE, in 2005. Brian May's net worth is $210 million. Brian May has homes in London and Windlesham in Surrey. In his garage, you'll find a Jaguar XJS, a Mercedes E-Class, a Volkswagen E-Up, and a Land Rover Defender 90.